Hi, and welcome back to Family Summer Camp, at Home Edition. This week, we're going to dive into history with Xavier Riddle in the Secret Museum. Xavier Riddle is a 7-year-old boy who travels through time with his little sister Yadina, her stuffed turtle Dr. Zoom, and their best friend Brad to meet real-life historical figures when they were kids just like them. Through their travels, they learn that every single boy and girl has what it takes to change the world. One way we are going to learn about our historical figures is through a bio sketch. A biographical sketch, also known as a bio sketch, is a way to give an account of the life and activities of an individual or a family. A bio sketch will usually include information like the person's name, where they're from, their education, their occupation, life and activity events, and other important things you should know about the person in the bio sketch. Today, we are going to learn about George Washington and Amelia Earhart. George Washington was the first president of the United States. But before that, he was a kid just like you. Let's read a bio sketch on George Washington and learn more about our first United States president. George Washington. A good leader takes care of the team. George Washington was born on a farm in Virginia in 1732. As a child, George liked to ride horses, swim, and dance. He read many books. A book about how to be polite and respect others was very important to him. He copied all the words down in his notebook. When George was 20, he joined the army. He started to lead others. Sometimes George won battles, other times he lost. He got frustrated, but he learned from his mistakes. He wanted to take better care of his team. He respected his troops. His troops respected him. People liked George as a leader. A few years later, they chose George to help make laws in Virginia. At this time, the United States was not a country yet. It was part of England. George and others throughout the King of England, George and others thought the King of England was unfair. They wanted to make their own rules. They wanted to be independent. George Washington led an army against England. He worked hard to take care of his team. George and his team won. People knew George was a good leader, and they chose him to be the first president of the United States of America. You see a picture, there is a portrait here of George Washington, painted by Gilbert Stuart. And the amazing fact is George Washington is on the quarter and the dollar bill, the $1 bill. On the back of your bio sketch, let's take a closer look. To respect someone means you think good things about that person. Go through your bio sketch and underline the reasons people respected George Washington. George's face is on 2 kinds of money. Circle the value of that money. Yadina says, George Washington was a great leader. He worked hard, he learned from his mistakes, he respected his team. Go ahead and on this bottom part here, fill out how you can be a great leader. Now, before you go watch the episode of Xavier Riddle in the Secret Museum about George Washington, go ahead and grab your pencil and your George Washington compare and contrast. And take this with you while you watch the episode. While you're watching the episode, go ahead and fill in ways that George Washington is different than you and ways you guys are similar. Amelia Earhart was a pilot and the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean alone. Amelia Earhart. Go for it. Amelia Earhart was a pilot and the first woman to fly over the Atlantic Ocean alone. Amelia Earhart was born in Kansas in 1897. Amelia loved adventure. When she was 7, she decided to build her own roller coaster. She built a track from a tool shed roof to the ground. She attached roller skate wheels to a wooden crate and got in. She went down the track fast. She said it felt like flying. Amelia learned more about flying when she was 20 years old. She was a nurse at a military hospital in Canada. She met wounded pilots. She got to watch pilots practice at a nearby airfield. Amelia flew in a plane for the first time when she was 23. She decided she wanted to take flying lessons. She bought her own plane and got her pilot's license. A few years later, Amelia was the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean as a passenger. Next, she wanted to make the trip as a pilot. In 1932, she was the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic. The trip wasn't easy. There was bad weather and problems with the plane, but she did it. She made the trip in less time than anyone had before. So let's go ahead and look at the back of our bio sketch and take a closer look. So where is the Atlantic Ocean? Can you look through your bio sketch and circle it? Amelia was the first to do many things. Draw a star next to 3 details that tell us what she was the first to do. Brad says, Amelia did exciting things that were a little scary too. When she was scared, she told herself, go for it. What would you say to a friend who was scared to try something for the first time? Go ahead, fill in your answer here. Amelia Earhart traveled all over the world. Go ahead and do Amelia Earhart's traveling word search and fill in why you think Amelia Earhart is important while you watch the Xavier Riddle in the Secret Museum episode about Amelia Earhart. When you've watched the Amelia Earhart episode, go ahead and come back for today's activity. Today's activities are all about airplanes. Amelia Earhart was a pilot and owned her own plane. So today we are going to make some of our own airplanes. The first airplane we're going to make today is our foam flyer. So what you're going to do is take out the pieces for your foam flyer. It should come with one body, your wings, and your tail fins. Tail wings, not sure what they're called. But go ahead and you can use markers, stickers, whatever you have. I happen to have some paper tape, so I decorated my front with some different colored tape at the top and on the sides, and then it says, what a wonderful world. And I put 2 little globes on my tail to decorate it. Once you've got it decorated, go ahead and assemble it. What you're gonna do for the assembly is take your 2 pieces and insert it so the taller end, the top that comes up, that's gonna be at the head towards the nose of it. Gotta keep my tape down. You're gonna slide it in carefully. I find if you sort of like stretch it a little bit with your finger while you're getting it to go in, it works a little better. And then you just sort of push the bottom end and pop the top part up. And then I'm securing my tape back down where it came up. And there's your first one. So next you're going to put in the tail. So the tail, it goes like the wider arrow up there, the wider space up, and it goes in the front. And you're going to slide it in the same way. You can try sort of stretch it a little bit if you need. Just pull it through until it goes in. And now you have your foam flyer. The next one, we are going to go make some paper airplanes. So grab some construction paper and your crayons or markers and decorate both sides however you want. Once you're decorated, what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper airplane, you're going to fold it in half lengthwise. So this is just one way to make a paper airplane. You can look for tons of different options online. And we encourage you to use construction paper, whatever paper you have, to make as many airplanes as you'd like. So once it's folded in half, you're going to take the tip and you're going to take this and fold this side up. So it sort of connects down here. I couldn't get mine to go all the way to the end, but it goes up to the nose. And when you're folding it, you want to make sure you make really sharp creases. So I take my nail and sort of run it across the paper. And you're going to repeat it with the next side. Just really, you can also, if you don't want to use your nails, you can take a ruler and push your ruler. I don't know a good way to show this. Push your ruler against the edge and just sort of slide it, and that will help as well to make a nice, really crisp fold. And then you're going to take your this top part, you're going to fold it down so it evens out. Crease it again. And go ahead and do that on the other side as well. And then you're going to flip yours over. So this is the folded part. You're going to flip it over. And you're going to take these guys and fold them down so that they are out on both sides. And then you have an airplane. So you can use tape to like tape it together better if you need. Yeah, that way. So just use that, make as many airplanes. Go ahead, go online and look for some different designs. And then when you've got your airplanes made, what you can do is take your foam flyer and your paper airplanes and test and see which ones fly better, which ones go farther. Go ahead and have some fun with this. And then our last activity for the day is for you to do later. And we are going to make our own story cube. For your story cubes, you are going to need your notebook, pencil, a ruler, a pair of scissors, and your 3 story cubes. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your story cubes, you're going to cut out on the dotted lines. Do not cut through the solid lines. Those are what you're going to fold. And then what I like to do so that I can get a really good crisp fold before making these is I take my ruler and I line it up on the line and I fold it so I can get a nice crisp fold. And I go and do that on all the pieces and then fold it back. So the little tabs, they don't have to be a really hard fold because they're going to be taped and you want them to actually pop out a little bit. But for the actual squares, you want those to be a hard one. You're also going to need tape, sorry. So once you've got your story cubes cut out, what you're going to do is you are going to take your tape and your story cube and you are going to put tape on the back side of your story cube on one of the flaps. And what you want to do is you want to have it hang off the edge. So this is the sticky part out here. And then what you do is you take it and you fold it up and you want to line up the edge and then press your tape down. Sorry, it's not something easy to do on camera. So now it's stuck together. And what you're going to want to do is just continue doing that all the way around so that you get your cube put together. So you just keep putting the tape on the inside, folding it in and lining it up so that the square and the tab line line up, and then push it. You're going to keep going and keep doing that the rest of the way around. When you get to your last one to put in, the easiest way is sort of to put the tape in on all the corners and then just push it in and try to let gravity help getting that tape to adhere. What you also can do is if your tape isn't sticking well, you can try to do some stick glue and gluing the, if you're using stick glue, don't glue the inside because that won't work. If you're using stick glue, you want to glue the part that is the part of the tab that's on the outside where the picture is, because then you'll insert it in and push it down. You can also, when you're doing this, especially for the first ones, it's really important to make sure they line up perfectly on the line because it makes it easier to put the rest of it together. Parents, when you are working on this activity, if you have young kids, you may want to cut it out because the nice even lines help to make it go together. So when you've got your cube ready, what you also can do is take tape and put it on the outside on all your folds so that they stay together a little better. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your 3 story cubes and pick a person in your family each night to roll them like a dice. And everybody can roll 1, you can have one person roll 3. And when you've got your 3 tops, so your character, your location, and your other material, write in your notebook a story with that. So it can be a story that you make up. You can adapt your favorite fairy tale for this. Go ahead, record your story, and when you're done, record a video of you guys telling your story. So we hope you had a great time learning about George Washington and Amelia Earhart with us today. We'll see you back tomorrow for day 2.